There's many different types of Feng Shui, right? There's what I call fast food Feng Shui, which is the bastardized, diluted version of Feng Shui, which in many cases is really, really far, really distant from how Feng Shui was originally done in China, right? It's almost like calling a wolf a sheep because you just put a sheepskin over the wolf kind of thing. A lot of the information out there is no longer considered Feng Shui, at least in the classical Feng Shui realm. And so put it in the chat, whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube, put it in the chat if you're familiar with the term Feng Shui period and Feng Shui facing. Let's start with that. I want to see, well, most of you guys who follow me in my annual Feng Shui, this will be something that I guide you through. First thing, right? The very first thing you need to know how to figure out the Feng Shui period of your home and the facing of your home. The reason why I started this live stream with that is if you're in a building, the determining the Feng Shui period is actually different compared to if you're in a house or a townhouse, right? Something that's not multi-unit. If you are in a house, for instance, let's just make it simple, okay? I'm not going to talk about like multiplex homes or whatever like that. If you are in a house, it doesn't matter. In my lineage, the lineage of Grandmaster Tan Yang Wu, we determine our Feng Shui period by your move-in date. Not the construction year of the building, not the year when the first tenant moved in. I'm not going to go through, the details of, the heaven, earth, and energy being locked and whatever, but in a nutshell, if you are in a house, your Feng Shui period is determined by when you moved into your home. So for instance, I'm in a 100-year-old house. So my Feng Shui period is not based on what it was 100 years ago, which would be period 2 or period 3. Excuse me. Okay. I moved in 2 years ago, actually, just before COVID lockdowns. So I am period 8. And period 8 is any time of moving into the house, February 2004 and February 2024. Then you are in period 8. But what happens if you are in a building, if you're in an apartment, or if you're in a condo? It's still based on your move-in date. It's not based on the construction of the building or apartment or condo. So for instance, the apartment that my husband and I, we rented many, many years ago, it was built in I believe it was a period 6 house. So I think it finished building 1982 or something like that. And there were people who moved into that building right after it was finished. And they were still there. In fact, I remember one time in the elevator, I bumped into someone and she said she was one of the first tenants in the building and she's still there, right? Well, granted, she had the penthouse suite, so it's really nice. Great view of the city. I can see why she stayed. She moved in period 6. She never moved out. The Feng Shui calculation for her unit will be based on period 6. My husband and I, we moved in with our kids in period 8. So even though it's in the same building, my permanent energy calculation, my flying star calculation for our unit is based on period 8. So in that building, we would have people who would have a period 6 permanent energy. You would have units with period 7 permanent energy. You would have people with period 8 permanent energy. Okay, so that is one of the main difference between how you Feng Shui a home and how you Feng Shui a building. Because if you get the period wrong, your whole calculation is wrong. So the formula of calculating permanent energy is first, you need to figure out the period of your home. So we've already kind of touched on that. The second is the compass direction or the facing of the building. So if you are in a house, typically we look at what is the address street, what is the most yang, the busiest, the loudest, side of the house. The facing of the house is not always the front of the house. If I want to put a percentage on it, okay, let's say, I would say maybe 95% of homes would have the front door as the facing, because usually that's the busiest, that's the loudest, that's the most yang, and usually it's the address street as well. But those of you who are in my annual training, you know sometimes there are certain variations in your specific home that the facing of the house could be the side of the house and not the front, right? That could happen. For a building, okay, for a building itself, generally you want to look at where is also the address street, what's the most yang, the busiest, and so on and so forth. But the difference is the whole building now will have the same facing. So previously, when we were talking about Feng Shui period, right? Every house would have, every unit in that building could potentially have a different Feng Shui period. And yet, when we look at the facing, then the whole building would have the same facing. So let me share with you. Okay, let me share with you. Hopefully you'll see my Photoshop here. Let me know in the chat if you're seeing the Photoshop, okay? So for instance, okay, this is an entire floor of an apartment building, as an example. I actually just took this off of, oops, my books fell down. I just took this off of Google Images, okay? So this is the Feng Shui of a whole, the layout of a whole floor. And you'll see there's units 201, 202, 203, 204. So there's 4 different apartments here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this is the common area, okay? And again, this is just an example, okay? I don't know what is the actual facing of this building, but I'm just using this as an example. So this whole building, so for instance, let's say this is east, okay? And this is the most yang side. This is maybe also the address street. Then the whole building is facing east. Okay, sorry, I'm writing with my mouse here. So unit 203 is facing east. Unit 202 is facing east, okay? Unit 201 is facing east. Unit 204 is also facing east. The whole unit will be facing east. Okay, so, but those of you who follow me, you will know what my next question is. Which east? Because if you look at this, okay, which is the 24 mountain compass, okay, there's actually 45 degrees of east. Right, this whole spot is east. This whole area on the compass is east. And you will see there's east 1, there's east 2, and east 3. And those of you who know Flying Star will know that the energy of east 1 is different from the energy of east 2 and east 3. So let's say in this instance, okay, let's say for this example, we are going to use east 2 as an example, okay? So all these units would be facing east 2. So let's make this a little bit more complicated, because in actual fact, you guys, real Feng Shui is complicated, okay? So let's say this building was built, okay? I'm going to see if anyone paid attention. This building was built, let's say, 1968, let's say, okay? Built in 1968. So unit 201, okay, let's use this, moved in, let's say, 1980, okay? Unit 202, the people here, they moved in 1985, okay? The people in unit 203 moved in, let's say, 1970, okay? And let's say this unit moved in 1974. Okay. So this guy here moved in 1970. What period, what feng shui period would that be for these guys? I'm going to see if I can see your comments here. We're not going to look at entrances right now, not yet, okay? Because entrance doesn't always determine the facing. Well, majority of the case it does, but I don't want you guys to just look at entrance and see and say to yourself, oh, the entrance is here, that's the facing. Okay, so for those of you who don't have your notes, okay, so let's work back. Okay, 2004 till 2024 is period 8. Okay, so and 2000, or I want to say February, okay, is period 8. And 2000 February 2004 till end of Jan 2004 is period 7. Okay, let me move that a little bit here. Okay. Okay, and then February, did I do that right? No. 1984, actually. Okay, okay. Then 1964 till Jan 2000. 1984 is period 6. Okay, so looking at this, yes, perfect. So these guys, okay, unit 203 moved in 2017. They are period 6. Okay, these guys, unit 204, they moved in 1974, which is still in between here. Okay, they are still period 6. These guys, unit 202, moved in 1985. Okay, they are period 7. Okay, and these guys, actually, I should have made a period. Let's change this into, let's say 19. I don't have a period 8. Okay, let's change these guys to 2006. Okay, let's say they moved in 2006. Okay, they would be period 8. What do I put 9? Okay. So here's the difference in building feng shui. Okay. All of these guys will be facing east too because they are in the same building. But their period is different. So period 6 here, period 7 here, period 8 here. So if we want to make it even, just to, okay, period 6 facing east too. Okay, that's this unit. Okay, and this one, period 7 facing east too. Oh. Okay, and these guys, they're period 8 facing east too. All the facings are the same. Okay, and then this one, period 6 facing east too. So again, same facing because everyone's in the same building, but the period is different because their move-in date is different. And therefore, out of these two guys, out of these 4 units, okay, these 2 guys would have the same permanent energy chart because they're both period 6 facing east 2, right? Period 6 facing east 2. Both of these guys have the same permanent energy. And then these guys would have a different energy, and this guys would have a period 7 energy, and this guys would have a period 8 permanent energy. I'm just looking at the chat here. Okay. Does the period change if you're not living continuously in the house? Yes. So let's say this guy, great question. let's say unit 203, they've been here since 1970. And they're like, you know what? I'm done living in a building. I want to go to a country house now. They moved out. Okay? And then new people move in. New people move in, let's say this year, 2022. They become period 8 facing east 2. Okay? So let me just unshare my screen. So that's one of the main things which is different in terms of doing Feng Shui for the home and doing Feng Shui for a building. And I know I've gotten questions about, oh, what about doing your facing based on your balcony? No, we don't do that. Not in my lineage anyway. So here it is. People would say, Safrina, what makes you think your lineage is better than other lineage? I'm not just going to sit here and say, okay, follow my lineage. We are correct. No. You follow whatever advice you want to follow, but you look at the results and you will see that there are certain lineages where the results are predictable and consistent. That would be, and that's how scientists do experiments, right? They do the same experiment 3 times or more, and if they get the same result 3 times or more, then that would be considered the right one to follow, right? Whatever hypothesis or whatever, right? So you experiment. You experiment with using balcony as you're facing. You experiment. Oh, some people even, they've been told to use so for instance, okay, so these are the main doors. So they've even been told to use, so let's say this unit 203. They've been told to use this door as the facing of their unit. No. In my lineage, we don't do that. You can try doing it based on the door. Based on, is there a balcony here? No, no one has a balcony. Or like a picture window, right? Are there any picture windows here? I don't think so, right? So again, look for proof, look for results. And I can tell you, following my grandmaster's method, which is the whole building has the same facing, but each unit has a different period, I can tell you, based on the permanent energy that we calculate, based on that period and that facing, we were able to work back what we call forensic Feng Shui to figure out why certain things happened in that unit, and also to do forecasting with Feng Shui. Because I can tell you, if you get the period or the facing wrong, then your forensic work and your forecasting work will be off. Okay. Makes sense, right? Okay. If the same family go back in a different period, then it would be, if there is a gap in tenancy, then that's a different period. Okay. And especially if there is an ownership change. Okay. So let's say it stays in the same family, but the ownership of that unit went from mother to daughter. And the daughter moves in a different period, then that's a different period. Okay. Do we take the facing in the middle of the facing direction? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Moyura. Okay. Anne says, family moved in period 7. During period 8, apartment was fully renovated. New windows, floors, doors, new ceiling. Can renovation during period 8 change period for the family? So changing period via renovation is very tough for a building, because one of the main things to do to change period, at least in my lineage, is to change the ceiling, or the roof, I should say. Not the ceiling, but the roof. If you're in an apartment building, unless you're at the top one, you can't change the roof. So the best way to change period in a building is to move out, completely move out, and then move back in. Okay. My facing and placement were calculated last year, Veronica said. Yeah, based on when you were in my annual feng shui, right? Yeah. Your permanent energy will remain the same. Unless you did something, i.e. renovation in a house to change the period, or you moved out and you moved back in. Okay. Okay, so let me keep going. All right. So looking at this, so let's say you're looking at this floor or this building. Okay. And so now you're moving in, you're looking at this building. We've already determined this is facing East 2. Okay, we've already determined this whole building is facing East 2. And now you're looking to buy a unit in this building. What period would that make you? What period would that make you if you're buying a unit on this floor and you move in? Put it in the comments. Okay. Period 8. Okay. So again, I'm actually a little confused by this. I don't know where the real door is. But let's say the door is here. Oh yeah, the door is over here where I have it in blue. Okay. So let's say it's like this. Okay. And these are common areas. Okay. So you're looking and then you're like, okay, I don't know which one is good feng shui. What is better feng shui? So now, because we're period 8, we're going to be moving in period 8. So this is the permanent chart of period 8 East 2 homes. Okay, so this is east, this is west, south, north, southwest, southeast, northeast. Now, do you guys know? I know some of you guys are confused. Who's confused? Put it in the comment. And most of the time, this can't be completely explained in an article or completely explained in a book because there's so many nuances. Even someone was asking me earlier, what about the front door? Can we actually look at how to determine? I actually don't want to go into how to determine the facing of a building because there's no one size fits all. In my annual program, I actually prefer for people to private message me their address, like their home address or their building address, so I can actually have my 2 eyeballs on Google Earth to help you figure out your facing. So I'm not going to cover how to determine facing in a building format or even in a house format because there's a lot of variables. I don't want you guys to risk getting the wrong facing. Okay, so this is so this chart is a period 8 East 2 chart. So the southeast would have 2-5, the south would have 6-1, the southwest would have 4-3, and so on and so forth. Now, between all these units, which one do you choose? Okay, so there's a lot. I'm confusing you guys, but this is really professional level feng shui review of a home. Okay, so if I were to take, let's just do this real quick. I'm going to do this really, really quickly. You got your brains are going to fry a little bit, but okay. So let's say we look at this layout. I'm not going to go into deep details here. Okay, so for this unit, this is south, This is southwest, this is west, this is northwest, this is north, this is northeast, this is east, and this is southeast. Okay? In my lineage, we don't take a layout and put a 3x3 box over it. We don't do that. Okay? We do not do that. We use what my grandmaster calls compartmentalizing the stars. So the way we do it is actually this way. So then the southeast would have 2-5 here, right? The south would have 6-1. The southwest would have 4-3. The west would have 8-8. The northwest would have 9-7. The north would have 5-2 here. Northeast would have 7-9. And this one in the center would have 1-6. And then the east would have 3-4. This is how the permanent energy reacts to this layout on this floor. And let's say we don't like this door, this unit, because this door having the 9-7 means money loss. It also means illness and a lot of stress around finances. So then let's take a look at this northwest unit, for instance. For many of you guys, you have never seen Feng Shui done this way before. Okay, so I'm going to compartmentalize the stars. Actually, this one would be like that. I may have done that center incorrectly just now, but that's okay. I'm doing this quickly. Okay, so now we've compartmentalized this unit. We're going to transfer the flying stars here into this layout. What's a better one, you guys? Those who took my certification, help me out, okay? So this one is also not good because the front door is here. Okay, the front door is here, but money is also not great. Door placements are really important, especially where money is concerned, okay? Obviously, we still want good relationship and good health, but the main energy that comes through any door is the water star, which has impact on your money. So it can be your career, your investments, your business. Let's take a look at the southwest one. And we're only looking at the door right now. We haven't even looked at the rest of the rooms, okay? But looking at the door, this one has the strongest money energy because of the auspicious number 9. Number 9 is timely right now because we are currently in period 8. So 8s, 9s, and 1s are considered timely, right? So if I were to buy a unit and this, just again, we haven't even looked at in depth. We haven't even looked at the stove position. We haven't looked at bedrooms and potential bed positions, right? But just looking at the doors, okay, between these 4 units, and we're looking at a period 8 east to permanent energy, this is the best door. This is actually the money door. Health and relationship might take a hit, but you make money. So that's, depends on how you look at it, right? Some people are like, no, I don't want to sacrifice health and relationship. So then this might not be a good door still. But you know what? In Feng Shui, there is no perfect Feng Shui. You weigh your priorities sometimes. Sometimes you have to pick and choose which one is more important for you, right? For some families, they'll be like, no, health is the most important for us. If it means less money, that's fine. So all these numbers, all these combinations of the numbers mean certain energies, certain potentials for the people who are living there. So put it in the chat if now you still think choosing a house based on Feng Shui is simple. Oh, I'm an east-facing person, so I just need to find a house that's good for east. What is that? East, southeast, northeast, and whatever. I don't even follow it because it's all BS, right? So you think by being an east person that you get a building or a house that aligns with an east person direction. You think that's all you need to look at? No, far from it. Far from it. Jennifer's asking, how are the flying star numbers determined? It is determined by the period and the facing. So if you get either of them wrong, then your calculation will be wrong and your feng shui placements will be wrong. You know, I've gotten so many emails and so many testimonials from people who said, Safrina, we've worked with other consultants before, and they've either gotten the period wrong or the facing wrong. And them as a client, they got into big trouble, big trouble. So some of you guys who are watching, you may or may not be charging people their hard-earned money to do feng shui consulting, but you're not properly trained. It's your responsibility to make sure that you do it right. If you're not sure of your training, don't take people's hard-earned money for it. I've seen people go bankrupt. I've seen people, I just did a video consult with someone, and they said after we followed that consultant who ended up using, I forget, it was the wrong period or the wrong facing, they lost everything, including their house. After they did, and the husband started to not believe in feng shui, like what the F is happening? We paid good money for this consultant and things went downhill. And you know what? I wish it was a common situation. I wish it was a common thing. I wish it was an uncommon situation. But unfortunately, the feng shui industry is so not regulated. It doesn't matter if they're a member of a so-called feng shui association. Guess what? I took a look. A lot of the members in that feng shui association, majority of them are fast food feng shui practitioners. So what does that tell you about the association and their standards? Would changing the door direction help change the flying star? The difference, again, if you're in a house and if you're in a building. If you're in a house, okay, I know it's going to be blurry, okay? Period 8 facing east. If you're in a house, let's say, period 8 facing east 2 is the permanent energy. You can't change the period and you can't change the facing. But you want a better door. So you can have a door that is, for instance, over here. Open the door here in the south. It's great for career progression. It'll trigger opportunities to travel. It's good for money, right? But the period and the facing remains the same. You're just opening another door. It could be a side door. It could be a back door. Heck, if you want to move your front door, go ahead. Right? Again, front doors don't always determine the facing of the house. But can you do that in an apartment building? No. The condo board's gonna sue you if you try to move the door. Right? Even if you say, oh, it's for good, it's for feng shui. That's why I want to move the door. Do you think the condo board or the management is going to allow you to move the door? Or even your internal door, most of them, they won't let you change it. I'd be surprised if you did. Can you explain how you did that layout? You mean to put the directions in the into different boxes? That is what that is Grandmaster Tan Yang Wu's method, called compartmentalizing the stars. I know this sounds like a plug, but honestly, the safest way for you to do this properly is actually to join me in my annual training. This is where I've got tons of videos, a bunch of people on the live stream right now. They've taken it. Some of them, they come back every year because they learn new things. But this is where I get to look at your layout. I get to help you with your demarcation. I get to help you determine your period and your facing if it's not a straightforward one, right? Many of you guys in here, I've had you private message me your address so I can take a look on Google Earth. And you might think you're facing a different direction, but once I look at, okay, how are the streets? How far are the streets? Where's the address street? Where are other potential yang energies? Sometimes the facing is actually different. Tracy said, my previous consultant, which is world renowned, got my period wrong. Lucky I took your course and can now work it all out for myself. And getting the period wrong means the whole calculation is wrong. Questions. Bryn says, it's definitely super personalized. Yes. And that is the majority of people who believe in feng shui. Okay, put it in the comment. If this is brand new to you, we have 56 people. Probably most of you guys have been exposed to this because you follow me. But put it in the chat if you've never had feng shui explained this way before. As a backup, if you got the period wrong, maybe having good shape and form is key. That's a great question. So let me word this properly. So the shape and landform will activate your permanent energy. So if you get the wrong calculation, you might not know exactly why certain things are happening. So what do I mean by this? So for instance, let's go back to this chart here. So even if you get the facing or the period wrong, so let's say you have a mountain here. Okay, let's say this is a whole building and you have a mountain here. So for all these numbers here, the ones on the right are called water star. I don't know why it's kind of blurry like that, you guys. And it denotes money. Okay, the numbers on the right determines the energy for money. The numbers on the left is mountain star, and it has impact on your health, which is your heart, and your relationship. Okay, for instance, love. So whether or not you get your period or your facing correct, these landforms will activate the right mountain star or the right water star. So if you get the wrong calculation, it doesn't matter to the universe or to the chi. The chi knows how it should impact you. You just don't have the playbook. You just don't have the playbook on how to deal with how your landform is activating your mountain star. For instance, if you have higher ground or if you have lower ground or water, you just don't know how those landforms will impact your water stars, all the numbers on your right. Right? So sure, you get your period and your facing wrong, but then you won't have full and complete knowledge of how landform actually impacts you because you don't have the right chart to base your information on. Does that make sense? Oh, do lift direction determine the flying star chart? No, not at all. It is still the facing of the building that determines the flying star chart. Carol's asking, for an office building, does the period depend on when the company owning the building moved in or when you moved into your individual office? That's a great one. It's your move in. So you have to think of it this way. It has to be considered separate units, right? So if you move in to if you're, let's say you have a company and you're renting a space in like a commercial building, for instance, right? All the mail for your business comes to your unit, and all the other people, they have their own mail going into their own unit. That's considered separate. So then you would have your own chart, your own energy, your own period. Okay. But most businesses are that way anyway. Like legally, they have a different, even though the address street is the same or the building name is the same, but you have your own unit number, right? So that makes you a separate entity. Do I have a flying star book recommendation? No. Because I know people think this is a self-serving answer. Because you can't learn Feng Shui from a book. I don't know who's here right now, but I thought I saw a name where she actually went and reached out to the author of a flying star book. She reached out to the author and consulted him, and he got it wrong. And this was the couple that lost their house afterwards because things just went pretty dire. Okay. There's so many, Kristen, there is so many layers. What I covered here, those who took my certification course, you know, right? What I cover here is just a tip of the iceberg. There's so many other things under the surface in the background that you still need to be aware of before you even figure out what to activate, what to remedy, where to place your bed, what is actually a good Feng Shui space that's usable for you. There's so much. Yeah, just a quick one. Tulin says, guys, take the course, as Safrina really explains well. It's true. You cannot understand it from books. It really is true. And Ruth saying the annual course is very helpful to get the basics right. Yes, and the Facebook group is very supportive. Second year running and waiting for 2023. Oh my gosh, yeah, I know. I have people just emailed me a few days ago, Safrina, when is Feng Shui 2023 opening up? I'm like, it's May. It's still May. But I know it's a great thing that you guys are looking forward to it, but we'll definitely get everything set up for you guys before 2023 rolls around. Yeah, and Tracy says, highly recommend the certification course. Amazing insights. All right, thank you so much for that, you guys. Thanks for spending some time with me on this live stream. Again, great questions, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. If I am new to you and you love classical feng shui, meaning real feng shui that gives you real results, make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, because I will be giving new videos every Thursday, and make sure you don't miss out on that.